Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This one will be short and sweet. Um, the conversation or the topic goes back to something that I have touched on before in other videos, which is African American identity. And that African American identity or lack thereof does absolutely bleed over into the Muslim community as far as African Americans is concerned. So it is an issue that is salient to both groups, your non-Muslim African Americans and Muslim African Americans. With that said, the Muslim aspect to the side, I had a conversation with a relative of mine, and we were talking about the elections and things that'll be coming up in 2024. And my relative was talking about Donald Trump, and he has a very, very high dislike for Donald Trump, as I do. I'm not a fan of that guy. I think he's just a bad person all the way around. He's not anybody that I would think any Muslim who knows their religion would support him. With that said, my relative made the comment that Trump would like to take all Muslims or kick all Muslims out of America. And I said to my relative, I said, that's silly talk. He can't do that, nor have I ever heard him say he wanted to kick all Muslims out of America. Again, that's silly talk. And when we listen to people, we have to be able to discern, nonsensical talk, nonsensical statements versus things that are really salient and really carry weight and are real issues. I told my relative that a bigger issue for him will be immigration. I think he will attack immigrants, especially illegal immigrants, very ferociously. I think he's going to go after illegal immigration. I think that's going to be a key component or a key part to his campaign. So my relative then says, well, the people at the border are POC, people of color, POC, people of color. And I said, okay, and? He said, well, because they are, we should be looking to, sort of look after them or protect them or do something. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I said, first, I want you to understand something. And again, this does go back to our lack of identity as African Americans. I said, who else do you know of is using this term POC and lumping themselves in with us? What other groups from the minorities are using this term POC and lumping themselves in with us unless there is some type of financial gain, unless it is advantageous to them? Name me the group that uses this term POC and lumps us in with them as equals unless there is something in it for them. Other groups work for the betterment of themselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. Other groups work for the betterment of themselves. African Americans seemingly or ostensibly are the only ones who are so, ready to lump everybody in with us when they aren't lumping themselves in with us, unless there is some type of financial gain, political gain, something that gives them access to resources or something like this. The term POC, person of color, it does have an application. It does. It has an application. But if you don't know the proper application, it can be used against you in a way that is to your detriment. Let me give you an example of what I mean. When it's time for the government to allocate resources or to allocate funds or to fund initiatives or programs or put money into communities and things like this, when they use the term POC, that lumps everybody in. So that means if they have $1 million. Let's just say they have $1 million. They could give 850,000 to the Hispanic community, and the Asians and African Americans get the rest. And then they can say, we funded the POC community, the people of color. African Americans have a very unique history. We have a history like no other group in America, including the indigenous Americans or Indians. Their history is not like our history, but they would be the closest to us, but their history is not like our history. So when we use this term POC and lump everybody in, we have to know when and how to use that. When it is in our best interest to use it, and when it is working against us to use this. Because like I said, when it comes time for funding, when it comes time for allocation of resources, the people who are in power will then use that same term and give money, give funding, give resources to groups that have nothing to do with the African American community. And at the end of the day, once again, we come up on the short end of the stick, and some other group walks away with fat pockets and access to resources. So that term POC, again, it does have an application. It has a proper context. It has proper usage, but we have to know when to use it, how to use it, and who to include in it, and when. Because if we don't, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.